everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Leandra, the TBR0, and today is October 1st, meaning that I'm starting off TBR Harvest with a bang, and I have to spin the first book that I plan on reading. Thank you all so much who put in your own thoughts, your own votes as far as which TBR Harvest activity sheet I should do. I did end up deciding to just do all of them. Quite a few of you said that I really should, and I was like, that's actually a really good idea. What if I put them all on one spinner and then just let the chaos go? What I'm hoping is that probably by the last week, I will have accomplished close to finishing one of the activity sheets, and then whatever one that is, I'll just try to get that one done. So then I can at least say that I've accomplished one of the 3 activity sheets by the end of the month. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, well, welcome. So sorry for bombarding you with information you have no idea what's going on. I am hosting TBR Harvest. It is a very fun, non-competitive, month-long readathon in which you're allowed to do whatever you want. You can do the game board if you want a bit of a challenge. If you want to do a bit of a choose your own adventure, you can do the haunted house. Try to get through the haunted house, make it through the front door before the ghouls, ghosts, poltergeists get you. Or if you're more of a mood reader and just want to see what you can get done by the end of the month, I usually will recommend the Trick or Treat TBR. The announcement video will be linked below, so if you want to participate, of course you can. It's never too late to just join in on the fun. I think that's what's really helpful about this type of readathon, especially if you're doing other ones. You can easily join mine while doing the competitive ones like Fablin or any other readathon or reading challenge that you had on the docket this October. But back to the vlog content. So I ended up already having a pretty busy morning. I went to the post office, had to go into town, put some, special bookmarks in the mail. I can't wait for you all to get them. And then I stopped at a local cafe, got a latte, and went down to this really lovely trail along the river where I live. And you'll probably have seen some very aesthetically pleasing opening credits to that. And it was a bit rainy, but I thought it was worth it, especially because I knew I would be sprinting later today for kickoff sprints, which is really exciting. And that's why my hair is still semi-wet because I'm trying to get ready. And of course, nothing is done. So here we are. But what you're actually waiting for is to find out what I am reading first. Well, I put everything into a spinner wheel, as I said, and I let the spinner decide. As you can see, I ended up getting a book title, not a prompt. And that's because I was so nervous about doing this spinner wheel and just throwing all the prompts in and kind of neglecting some of the priority reads that I absolutely have to accomplish this month, that I decided to throw in the titles as well. I ended up landing on this little number, Chaos at the Lazy Bones Bookshop. This is for The Manor. It's a part of my Only Murders in the Book Club, and I'm so glad that I actually landed on this, because then what I was thinking is if I get a book title, I get to choose what prompt it's going to fulfill, and the only book in my entire collection that actually fulfills the pumpkin prompt for the Trick or Treat TBR is this book. I need to get my jack-o'-lantern, and the only way to do that is to read a book with a pumpkin on the cover. This one has 2 pumpkins on the cover and actually 2 jack-o'-lanterns on the back, so it's going to be perfect, and that's what I'm going to be reading on sprints with my lovely guest, Danny Dabbles. I'm hoping every week to have a different person join me on sprints, just to make it a bit more intimate, not too crowded, and Danny was kind enough to be my first to join me for the kickoff, so I'm really excited about that. But I also have so much more I have to get done before sprints start. So my goal is to read this. I do have the audio, so I'm going to do an immersion reading experience, or I might just lean on audio. We'll see what the day holds, but I feel pretty confident I could finish this in a day. If not today, tomorrow morning, and then we'll be spinning again. So I'm really excited about it, but I don't know much about this title, if I'm going to be honest. I had the Manor vote, and they did choose this one. The back says, the first in a witty mystery series set in a year-round Halloween-themed town. Perfect for October 1st, in the Pacific Northwest. Oh, I love that setting. Inspired by the real Halloween town, finds a bookshop owner investigating the dark side of her spooky town to clear her name. I love that. All right, well, first and foremost, I'm also off to go record my Thursday video, so I will see you guys once I actually have an update for you. I forgot to provide a goal. Should I provide a goal for this first week of vlogging? Should it be a challenging goal? Maybe I want to read 4 books. 4 books this week. Let's see if I can get 4 prompts completed. Don't hold me to it. I have groceries in the back, so this needs to be a very quick update. Yesterday was so fun. It was such a great start to TBR Harvest. Everyone who came to sprints were lovely. We had a really excellent, productive 4 hours before we went over to Fablin's kickoff sprints. I had a great guest with me, Danny Dabbles, and I made a lot of progress with my first book, Chaos at the Lazy Bones Bookshop. I made it 148 pages. I have just under 100 pages to go. I haven't picked it up since because I've been busy. I had to work this morning, then I also had to go grocery shopping, but I do plan on finishing this book today, probably in the mid-afternoon, and then we can roll again, or should I say spin again. This has actually been a really great pleasant surprise of a cozy mystery. I don't think I conveyed that very much in my introduction, that I was pretty nervous entering this book because I do love mysteries. Mysteries are my favorite genre, my most well-read genre, but the cozy mystery subgenre is one that often doesn't work for me. I have a few tried and true series that I'm still keeping up with, but on the kind of grander scope of it, I typically try to stay away from cozy mysteries, but it was voted upon by the banner. It was for our Only Murders in the Book Club, and I am actually really enjoying it. I think it's because cozy mysteries have a tendency to really hit hard on a theme. It could be knitting, cooking, baking, coffee, and sometimes that is just too much. It's just oversaturated. Every single sentence is another pun, is a certain reference to that hobby or career, and I can't do it. It distracts me. It's a bit too slice of life. Whereas this one, because the theme is Halloween, I am totally for all of the references. I love that we're getting a lot of mentions of different books, of different movies. The entire town has embraced the fact that it is a spooky village, a tourist destination. So all of the town's independent stores are named in some way with a ghoulish pun. For instance, the bakery is the Walking Bread. There's a Mexican food truck called the Burrito. We have the Morning Brew. I think that name could have been better. Maybe like the Morning Broom or Morning Boo. I don't know. I feel like that could have been a bit more creative. And of course we have the Lazy Bones Bookshop, which is the bookshop owned by our main character Bailey. She is hosting this literary festival event over the weekend during October, obviously having a great time, trying to promote certain authors. There is a hometown hero that comes back, an author who's gotten really popular, and he's a bit of an isolated author. He doesn't really come out for events. He's a recluse, and everyone's really excited to have him join. And then, of course, over this weekend, someone is murdered. He's the host of this ghost-chasing reality TV show, and he's not a great guy. So he ends up being discovered at one of the attractions, a maze, on a park bench with a pumpkin on his head. Perfect for the season. Of course, he was in an altercation with our main character Bailey, so the entire town is like, oh man, she killed him. And so she has to figure out what actually happened, who could have killed him and why. And I'm really liking the mystery aspect, but I'm also okay with enjoying the slice of life moments with this Halloween-esque town. The reason why it's Halloween focused is because there was a film either based in the town or filmed in the town called The Haunted Hounds of Hamlet Bay. So the entire town just decided to lean into it and be like, all right, we are the new Halloween mecca. Anyways, so my goal is to finish that. We'll spin again, get my second book for this readathon, but I also have maybe 6 or 7 books I'm currently reading that I've carried over from September, so you may see me finishing those books too, and we'll have to figure out what I'm going to do with them. Am I going to just count them for certain prompts and then take those off the spinner wheel? I'm not really sure, but I have a prediction that I might finish 2 other books today. I know I'm crazy, but I only have a couple hours left in Changeless by Gail Carriger. That's the second book in the Parasol Protectorate series. I'm also currently reading a book for my job called Death in Fancy Dress by Anthony Gilbert, and I have to finish that today. So we're gonna see what happens, but I actually think I'm gonna be reading and finishing a lot more books than I planned, mainly just because I've got so many that I already have on the docket that are so close to finishing anyway. But okay, I've talked too much. I gotta get the groceries into my apartment, and then I gotta keep reading. I have officially finished the first book for TBR Harvest. I got my jack-o'-lantern. We are on our way to an excellent Halloween night, and now it's time for me to spin again. But first, let me give you a bit of a rundown on my thoughts about the book, the ending, because I did have to read another 100 pages or so. This ended up being a solid, spoopy Halloween read. I really can recommend it to anyone who likes the cozy vibes, who likes an atmospheric book where you just feel the setting. You feel very comfy, cozy. You would love to live here in October and also enjoy the fact that we have community at the forefront. Our main character, Bailey, while she's still trying to figure out familial ties, she doesn't know who her father was. Her mother is neglectful, especially because she started a whole new family with other children. Bailey is also so supported by her grandfather, so supported by her friends, the other community members who own their own stores and are just kind of supporting each other with collaboration at the independent store level. I don't know. I was really sweet. I am definitely going to continue it. This will be on the docket for me next October if another book in the series comes out. And while the ending was pretty run-of-the-mill, it wasn't super impressive. Cozy mysteries don't tend to have a really impressive ending. It was satisfying. It ended up tying up all loose ends, and peace was able to be brought back to this community, which is really the point of a mystery, especially the cozy variety. So yeah, this was really fun. It was a great start to a readathon that is all things spoopy and spooky. But now I have to spin again. So I did so, and the spinner ended up making me do a corn maze prompt. I have to now read a book with a cat on the cover. And to be honest, that is actually perfect because I have a lot of other priority reads to get through, including the book that I have to read for my job. I have less than 100 pages to go for that, but that is definitely going to be my priority tonight. I also want to finish Changeless, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe as I'm cooking dinner, I will need an audiobook so I can listen to that as I do it. But I also have a Manor event tonight starting at 8 p.m. We're watching Halloween Party, the 2010 version featuring David Suchet as Poirot, because in September the only Christie in the book club was reading that book. So we're kind of celebrating with a couple watch parties for various versions of it. There's going to be an all manor watch party for A Haunting in Venice as well, which I've never seen. So I'm very excited to see how very different it's going to be from the book. All of that said, I am not sure what I'm going to do as far as if I'm going to read a cat manga tonight or if it's going to be tomorrow. I say this because I'm, one, not sure which cat manga I'm going to choose, and I'm not sure if I'm actually going to read it tonight. It might have to be a cozy morning read because I have so many other life things to do, but I'll let you guys see in the B-roll and in my next update which cat cover of a manga I choose. is Friday afternoon and I did not have time to update you yesterday. Life was way too crazy. I was working my 2 jobs, I was running around, but I did end up finishing a couple books. So first and foremost, I had to make sure that I finished Death in Fancy Dress by Anthony Gilbert for my job. We had a really brilliant discussion actually about it, and I'm really excited to have the members of the She Done It book club discuss their thoughts. Now, is this an amazing book? No. Does the author clearly have promise and I want to read more by her? 100%. There were certain passages that I absolutely adored. She is an author who can certainly write, who can provide a really lovely tone and balance certain humor with darkness. I mean, we would have scenes in which there was a really hilarious discussion going on, and then suddenly the next paragraph, someone was brooding and looking into the moors, looking at the darkness surrounding the glow within this home. So I did really like that. I just think that there was a difficulty for the author to actually combine certain detective fiction tropes like the country house mystery, the blackmailing, the familial issues and history where there's just been like long forming grudges or just difficulties with getting along, with the backdrop of espionage, intrigue, a string of suicides that were led by someone obviously blackmailing these people for their power, for their wealth. It was just a lot in one book, and I don't think it was super well executed. But like I said, I would definitely read from this author again because I did really like her writing style. After getting that admin read out of the way, I was finally able to start the book for the second prompt of TBR Harvest that the spinner gave me, and that was Cat on the Cover. I read Cat Plus Gamer Volume 5 last night while at work during moments of reprieve, but unfortunately I wasn't able to read it throughout work because, you know, people think that while working at a library you can just read all day. That's not the case, but I was able to read maybe like 50 pages of this, which obviously isn't that impressive because manga reads very quickly. Then I came home, was trying to unwind for the rest of the night, and I tucked into this book while I was going to sleep, and I did finish it. It's just so cute! What I really like is that because we have the added second cat, we have a calico now in addition to our tuxedo kitty. The 2 cats are learning from each other, and we're also seeing a bit more personality, a bit more interaction between them. They are having discussions in this book as they're getting to know their world and going on adventures within the home of their owner. So I really like that because up to this point it's mostly just been the cat trying to understand our owner, and then our owner trying to understand her new cat. But now that she's off kind of going on her own, this one was really for the cats, I would say. She's still studying them, still learning from them, watching them grow, and, you know, learning to just like enjoy her life with them. But this one was definitely for the 2 cats to bond, to learn from each other, and it was so cute. So yeah, I'm so happy that I read this, and now of course I'm just waiting for volume 6. Having completed 2 prompts for TBR Harvest, I now have to spin again for my 3rd one, and I've kind of held off. I could have done it last night, I could have done it this morning, but I didn't want to get ahead of myself because I was waiting for Act 2 to drop for Fablin. I'm one of the hosts for that, and I really want to try to combine prompts as much as I can. Well, Act 2 has officially been published, or at least announced, and our first encounter within that act is happening in the main lobby. We were given 2 prompts, we got to choose one or the other, and those ones involve either reading a book in one sitting, so it would have to be a book that's 200 pages or more, or you have to read a book that has a heist within it or some type of theft narrative. So I don't really know how well that's going to go for me. That's a bit unique. I have read a few books on my shelves that include it, but to think of books on my current TBR, I really can't think of anything that has theft or heist as a main narrative point. So it might have to be the book in one sitting, which of course, it's very stressful. We will see how it ends up working out, but I'm a little bit stressed. So I will be spinning for my 3rd prompt and then just finding out what I can combine. In the meantime though, I also had finished another book. I know this is just kind of a crazy update being like, so 3 books to talk about, but I'm trying to clear up my current TBR a bit as I start new books because I have way too many books that I am currently reading, but now I've got one less, and that is Changeless by Gail Carriger. I just adore this series so much, and I can't wait to pick up the third book now, Blameless. This one takes Alexia Terabody, aka Lady Macon, to Scotland. She is a preternatural, a human without a soul, and she is pretty much an investigator for the crown. She tries to keep the peace while also managing various disputes between the humans, the werewolves, the vampires, and everyone else in between. In this book, the supernatural community seems to be under attack by either a curse or a new technological device that prevents them from being supernatural. Vampires are suddenly human all the time. Werewolves can't change into their wolf form, and we have ghosts being exorcised. And then at other times, suddenly everything goes back to normal. It's up to Alexia and the other cast of characters to figure out what's going on. It ends up leading them to Scotland, Lord Macon's own old pack, and of course that ends up stirring up a lot of drama, but it's a hilarious series, and I also am so invested in Alexia as a character because she's great, she's thoughtful, she just is amazing. She's one of my favorite characters at this point, so I am really excited to start the third book, Blameless, eventually. I'm hoping that it will count for a prompt actually throughout this month because I really want to continue this series. It's so good. I'm so happy that I own it, and I can't wait in future years to reread this and just enjoy the narratives again. Without further ado, let's go find out what my third TBR Harvest prompt is and see if I can make it work with Fablin. I'm so nervous to see what the third prompt is going to be. This is the first time I've actually recorded myself reacting to it, so hopefully I have a positive reaction. Let's see what it's going to be. There are a lot of prompts that it could possibly hit. We've done Trick or Treat once, we've done Corn Maze once. Obviously, ideally, it'd be really nice to do a haunted house, but you know, we'll see what happens. There we go. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know what I want, but I want something that maybe could work with a theft, because to read a book in one sitting. Bathroom. The bathroom. Oh gosh. I've gone into the bathroom. There's a ghost bathing. I've interrupted their very calm bubble bath, which I feel terrible about, but that means that if I'm remembering correctly, my own prompt is I see dead things. So I have to read a book that is related to death in some way. That would have been perfect with Changeless because there are ghosts in that. Oh well. I guess I could go on to Blameless. Could I read that in one day though? Because there wouldn't be like theft or heist in that, I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna have to think about this. I might have to read a book in one day, meaning that you guys are gonna see a lot of me in this outfit because I have no other options. But we'll see. I'll give myself some time. But for now, I think I'm gonna have to read this book in one day, and that makes me really nervous. Off to find a book that I have the audiobook for. Since I last updated you, I did go over to Brittany Loves Reading. She was hosting Fablin Sprints. I joined her, Neva from Reading with Neva, as well as Margaret, the word nerd, the host of Fablin. And the four of us had a good 2 or 3 hours sprinting together, motivating each other to read for both TBR Harvest as well as for Fablin. And I did end up deciding to go with The Paradox Hotel by Rob Hart. This is a book that I have had on my TBR all year. Genuinely, I've borrowed it from the library a million times, never ended up reading it, had to return it, put myself back on the hold list, and then I finally decided, no, this is the last time. I cannot borrow this book again, and I decided that it makes sense for me to read it for I See Dead Things, even though I think across the 3 boards I had it under different prompts, because the main character is questioning herself, wondering if she's seeing ghosts or if there have been time slips that are just like suggesting she is unhinged at this point and she's been traveling through time too frequently to the point where she is now unstuck. I think that's the term that they're talking about, and that's really disconcerting for people because they know they can't trust her at this point. The work that she has been employed to do just won't be up to snuff, and people will be in danger. With that all said, I need to tell you what this book is about, because I am 2/3 of the way through, and I think I really could get through this in one sitting. Obviously, Margaret said that we can allow for restroom breaks, eating, you know, important things that you have to get done while not reading at the same time. So me updating the vlog, I'm counting that as an important thing to do. But I do see myself finishing this in the next couple hours, which is really exciting. And then I can give you another update. We can spin again and maybe get in a 4th book, at least for TBR Harvest. We'll see what happens. But this follows January. She is the house detective, head of security for the Paradox Hotel. This is a hotel for the rich, the people who can actually afford to time travel. It is run by the government for the most part, but they are actually considering putting it out on the market, allowing it to be privatized, because it's really not making them enough money to function appropriately, which is in itself its own issue that January, the rest of staff are trying to deal with as potential buyers come to the hotel and provide their own offers to buy it. As the summit is underway and buyers are trying to, you know, muscle in, trying to get their own claim on time travel and make a bunch of money off of it, or do some other sinister things with that ability, January has herself in a mystery that involves the dead body of a guest, and it seems as though his body is frozen in time. It's not decomposing. No one else can see it except for her because of her unstuck status. She's time traveled so much that now memories, events are bleeding into her brain, and she will be normal, fine, and then suddenly she'll see someone from the past, or she'll see an event from the future that she hasn't experienced yet, and it just ends up muddling the waters for her, and that's why she is being deemed unfit to actually solve what's going on at the hotel. I am just really intrigued by this whole element of memory being attached to time travel. I love a book that has time travel in it. That is like one of my favorite plot devices ever, because it just adds so much confusion and so much complexity to the layers of a linear narrative, because it prevents the narrative from being linear. We've got things impacting us from the past, things impacting us from the future. Can we change the future? Do we have our own agency and free will as humans, or is our future already destined for us? I love those concepts being asked in a book. We're at the point in the narrative where January is beginning to lose faith in herself. Her mind is bleeding more and more. I'm saying bleeding because I can't really describe it in any other way, but she will be talking with Ruby, her AI android, who is hilarious. I love him. Or she is talking to other characters. Then we suddenly find her in a memory with her old partner who died about 6 weeks ago, or she is in the future finding herself potentially being shot. Like it's that kind of whiplash. But I'm gonna stop talking your ear off because I have more book to read. I do have the audiobook as well, so I have changed my clothing. I've been sitting around all day and I think it's time for me to go for a walk, so I will be listening to the audio as I do that, and hopefully I will be that much closer to finishing the book so I can come back in the evening and let you know my thoughts and figure out what book I'm reading next. It is just after 11:30 at night, so I need to get myself ready for bed so I can have a successful Saturday of productivity, of getting reading done, of getting tasks done, and making my weekend feel as full as it can, because Monday is just around the corner, as it always seems to be. But I wanted to provide an update before I kind of sign off on everything and actually brush my teeth. So I did end up finishing Paradox Hotel in one sitting. Yes, I moved around, I went for a walk, I made dinner and did other tasks, but I was able to rely on the audiobook as I was doing a lot of these things, and so I'm counting it as a book I read in one day, one sitting, so I can check off the first encounter in the second act of Fabelin. I also can check it off for my bathroom prompt, I see dead things, so it's very exciting. I didn't even mention the fact that it's funny how you see the wheel behind me. It has so far given me one prompt per activity sheet. That's obviously not going to happen every single time, but I kind of like the symmetry of that. We'll see what happens with my 4th spin, which I will be doing. And I also am really glad that I read The Paradox Hotel. Honestly, it's another winner for this vlog. I've only read books I've enjoyed, even the ones that haven't really been for the vlog, that have just been side reads, like Death in Fancy Dress. It wasn't amazing, but I found that I liked the author's writing style, so I'm excited to explore this author more. Changeless by Gil Carriger. So I've just had a really great time for the first week of October, which is excellent. With Paradox Hotel, there were times when the time loop got quite confusing as far as who the main character was interacting with. Was January remembering something from the past? Was she seeing something from the future? Or is this the present timeline, meaning that nothing can be changed, nothing can be prevented or learned from as far as like preparing for future events? I will say that the ending might not be for everyone. I think the author pulled it off for the most part. There are some questions left unanswered, which again isn't for all readers, but I was pretty satisfied and I would read more by that author. So if you're looking for a mystery in a sci-fi setting at a hotel that has time travel, that has a definitely grumpy main character who needs to learn, who needs to grow, who's also grieving too, so that's a really big part of the narrative, then I could totally recommend this to you. I'm really glad that I'm ever more getting into sci-fi mysteries. It is my favorite genre blend, I think. So yeah, I'm really glad I finally read that book that has been on my mind the entirety of 2024. While doing that, I also obviously got some admin done. You see the thumbnail that I have for what is going to be Sunday's video, which will be just before this vlog comes out. It's so confusing when you're vlogging and then preparing things to come out and then the vlog doesn't come out yet. So anyways, this is coming out for me in 2 days, but I wanted to provide a thumbnail sneak peek to my patrons at the Manor, and I also want to make sure that tomorrow the top 2 tiers get an early access to said video. So just a lot of things that you need to juggle. I also have some bookmarks I need to mail tomorrow, so I can't forget that. But anyways, that's just stuff that is remaining in my head this evening. So for now, we are going to spin to figure out what my 4th prompt is going to be and hopefully be able to squeeze in at least one more book, which I think did I predict that? I think I said my goal was going to be to read 4 prompts in this first kind of short week, because I only have been recording from like Tuesday to Saturday, so it's a bit of a tighter schedule as far as this vlog goes, but I think I'm doing really well because I think my goal was 4 books. Past Leandra can like point her finger at me, or at least more, it's probably going to be editing Leandra that says, no, you did not say that you wanted to accomplish 4 books. So
I forgot to provide a goal. Should I provide a goal for this first week of vlogging? Should be a challenging goal. Maybe I want to read 4 books. 4 books this week. Let's see if I can get 4 prompts completed. Don't hold me to it.
The question is going to be is if this 4th prompt will allow me to double up and get another Fabelin prompt done. Oh, that's honestly my cue to wrap this up and start getting ready for bed. So let me go spin and then I'll see you guys on Saturday morning. All right, let's see what I'm going to have to read for this 4th prompt, the 4th book officially for TBR Harvest. I forgot I need to figure out what I'm doing for those other 2 books I finished that I haven't done for a prompt yet, but First Floor Staircase. Okay, that's another one for the haunted house. So I've had 2 haunted houses in a row, and that one, I don't want to mix it up because the second staircase is a mood read. This one is the scenario in which the staircase has claws, so you've got to slide down the banister. So it's 300 pages or less. I already actually remember the book I planned originally for this, or at least provided as an option. It was Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I'm not sure if I'm still gonna go with that, but I at least know the one I was initially thinking. So, okay, a short book. Now I just have to remember what I was potentially going to put this with, because there are 2 scenarios, 2 encounters that I could do for Fabelin. One of them is within the stacks, and then another one is within, what was it? I can't remember, but it's something. Anyways, that's for tomorrow morning, Leandra. It's fine. Okay, good night, friends, and I'll see you guys in the next update. It is Saturday evening. It's about 5 o'clock, and I just joined sprints with Rainy from Rainy Blue Reads because she is kindly doing TBR Harvest sprints right now, and I think we only have 4 minutes before the chatty bit, so I need to update you very quickly. Today has been just a crazy whirlwind. I had to wake up early, get certain packages set for the post office, went to the post office, dropped it off, came back, had to shower, get my hair ready. Yes, I think I'm wearing this again. I'm pretty sure I wore this already this week. It's fine. I have a turtleneck under it, so I think I'm protecting myself from any potential funk. I think this shirt's clean, it's fine, but I just wanted to address that I recognize I'm wearing this again. I also had to do a bunch of research for my next video, which is for the very specific requests, because I made the thumbnail before I actually recorded it. I know it's backwards, it's fine. I ended up recording that with all my notes, so it worked out well, I think. We'll see, because this evening I'm gonna have to edit that, so cross your fingers for me. But all of that happening, I also was able to start a book for my staircase prompt. I had to read a book that is under 300 pages, and I decided to start Full Speed to a Crash Landing. This is by Beth Revis. It's the first book in a sci-fi romance trilogy, and they're all novellas. It's only about 4 hours long on audio, and I'm about 40% in. I know the gist. Our main character, she is a looter. She ends up being in dire distress. Another ship saves her, and they seem to work for the government, so obviously she's at odds with them because her whole goal is to like steal stuff and take advantage of salvaging ships and that kind of thing. And they're having an issue with a ship that has crash landed on this planet, and there's a certain item that they want that they can't seem to get, and that's where our main character Ava comes in. And there's been a little bit of romantic rapport between herself and one of the guys who's on the ship, but not much has happened yet. It's very comedic, and I am getting some vibes of Hunt the Stars, but I also think the humor lends to a bit more quirkiness, so it's not as serious as the Starlight Shadow series, which honestly is refreshing. A novella shouldn't really need to be serious. It can be like fun, light, something you can walk away from and just carry on with your day. I will provide a bit more like synopsis once I actually finish the book, because at the moment I literally am just imagining the clock going down on Rainy's timer and me thinking, I'm not gonna be there when she gets back. So I'm just gonna like leave it here. I just wanted to quickly touch base with you all, letting you know I'm still reading, it's fine. The one thing that's too bad about me choosing this book for the staircase is that it doesn't fit, at least to my understanding. I don't think it fits for Fablin, for one of my main encounters. So I will eventually have to read 2 books to fulfill those counters that aren't to do with at least like this book for TBR Harvest, meaning that you'll probably see that in the next week's vlog once I decide to prioritize those. But anyways, we're gonna have one more update this evening, and then we'll close off week 1 of TBR Harvest. Woohoo! Okay, I'm gonna go and hang out with my friends on the internet. Well, it is just after midnight. So I think that the first week of TBR Harvest is officially over. We have entered the second week, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. I ended up finishing Full Speed to a Crash Landing while on sprints with Rainy, or really it was right after we got off. I then finished sprints because I also had to edit, and it was just so much multitasking. But I am so pleasantly surprised. I thought I would have a good time. I didn't go into the book thinking I would hate it, but I wasn't sure about the fact that it was a novella, that it was a space opera / sci-fi rom-com. I didn't know how explicit it was going to be or how thorough the storyline would be. I wasn't sure if the romance would be at the forefront or the heist would be at the forefront. And I would say that when you're entering this book, be prepared for the romance to be more of an end game situation, because the 2 characters who are within this romantic entanglement, it's very clear at the end that they aren't together. It's not like we're going to introduce a new romantic coupling in the second book that comes out actually, I believe, in December, but instead we are seeing the beginnings, and this is kind of a bit of an enemies to lovers situation. I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed by the narrative. It actually, the way it ended made me want to go back and re-listen to see what I missed, because it did end up tying together really well. I ended up just adoring our main character, Ada. I think I called her Ava in the first bit because I wasn't really sure what her name was, and then when I finally was paying attention to the audio, I was like, oh, her name is Ada. Whoops. And her love interest's name is Ryan. So I did end up kind of probably maybe multitasking too much in the beginning when I was first giving you guys an update, so maybe that's why I wasn't really sure who the characters were. But yeah, there's just a grander scheme happening. This single event is apparently a domino effect that is causing so much more catastrophes, and Ada is a character that you really need to give credit where credit is due. She's someone that you might underestimate, and then at the end of that book I was like, wow, she's got a good head on her shoulders. She's pretty impressive. So clearly I really enjoyed it. The fact that I want to go back and re-listen to it, I might even want to own it so I can physically read it. And I'm also feeling a bit more invested in the idea of requesting book 2, the second novella, because I did mention the second novella when I was providing my anticipated releases for the last 3 months of the year. It was one of the ones on that list. So I might end up actually taking the leap and requesting it on NetGalley, because I do want to see where the story goes. I would 100% drop everything to pick it up if I had it, because I really enjoyed it. It was fun. So that means that the first week of TBR Harvest was a success. I've had a great time. I have completed 4 books for 4 different prompts, and 1 was for Trick or Treat, 1 was for Corn Maze, and then 2 ended up being for the Haunted House. I'm obviously going to have to spin now for my 5th book of the TBR Harvest, but I'll do that for the second week's vlog. There's also something very interesting, an additional challenge that I'm hoping will work out for the second week, so stay tuned. We'll see if everything comes together the way I'm hoping that it does. And with that said, I do believe that moving into the second week, I will take a prompt away for the 2 books I read that weren't affiliated with any spun prompt yet. For instance, Death and Fancy Dress, that wasn't for any prompt, and I also finished Changeless by Gail Carriger. I want those to count towards something because they were finished this month, even though they were a part of kind of my backlist from September's reads. So I think that's what I'm going to do as well in the next vlog. I'm going to look through the spinner, decide which ones I'm going to assign them to, and then moving forward, when I have other kind of ongoing reads, I'll just keep taking prompts off of the spinner. All right, well, I hope you're having as much fun as I am this month, whether you're participating in TBR Harvest or one of the other million events going on this month, this year. And I also would love to hear in the comments, what is the most recent read that you've read for the first week of October? And also, was there any book that I read during this vlog that you now want to pick up? I really want to know if any of these ended up looking attractive to you after I gushed about almost all of them. And then finally, if you are intrigued by this sci-fi rom-com and you want to see what other anticipated releases I'm excited about, I will include that video up there. It's pretty short, and really every single book looks great. I am just trying to slowly get through them, and now I'm ready to read book 2 for that novella series, and I'm very excited about it. So yeah, check it out just to see what books can be added to your own radar. And also thanks to my manor guests. I really do appreciate you all, and I do hope to see everybody in the next one. Bye!